Hey everybody, welcome to another Saturday night stream of American in Crimea. We're not doing news tonight, so we were going to talk about being married to a Russian woman. Hey Michael, good to see you. Andy will be here shortly. He is having technical difficulties and is changing laptops. Daniel said he was coming, but he hasn't shown up either. So I guess you get me for now. And Jay is in the background producing for us. And so I don't know. So let me just clarify. I would love your comments in the comments section under the video afterwards about the picture on the screen. I was actually going to do a pre-show recording because I did an unboxing of my new toy that Eddie convinced me to purchase and would make everything look wonderful. Jay says I look good. I am not crazy about what I'm seeing. And so let me just clarify. Ninjaroo, how you doing? It's evening here, daytime for other people. Odious, I am not using a webcam microphone. I am on my regular microphone. I guess if I put it over here, you might be able to hear me. Sorry about that. Just playing with the new toys and don't get the old ones back in place. Timothy, good to see you. Timothy is off diving. Catherine, Raymond, found me on YouTube. Eddie had the RooTube link on his Telegram. I use both of them, Raymond. So, yeah, that's what I thought, Odious. It's auto-focusing and it won't let me change the focus when I'm streaming. And it's complaining that I don't have a USB 3.2 cable, but it's a Thunderbolt 3 cable, so I'm not sure what's wrong with it, Odious. This is what happens when you unbox stuff an hour before you go live. Linda, hi. Yeah, less echo when I have the microphone where it belongs, Timothy. Yeah. Yeah, thanks on the background lighting. I finally got them to ship me a second light. I reordered that thing about 20 times. So we will play with the camera during the week. Eddie convinced me to buy it. I think it'll be better if I can get 1080p out of it, but I've got to find some cable that it actually likes. So, anyway, so we were going to talk about Russian wives tonight. Let me say that we're going to generalize a little bit. Oh, Andy came in. Andy, can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you. So just proof that your wife has better equipment than you.
Yeah, without a doubt. Am I lagging?
We're live.
Oh yeah. Okay, perfect. Hey everyone.
So everybody, you all know Andy AfroLev, and I am now calling him the Doctor of Love because he started a new Telegram channel where he's talking about love and relationships. I do not have the link to it right now. So, you know, go to his regular Telegram channel and oh, look at that. I even have his Telegram folder open. So if you go out there, ping him, you will actually see messages from his Dr. Love. So we're going to talk about what it's like being married to a Russian woman. Don't worry, we are not going to badmouth Western women. That's not Andy's style, and it's not my style. We are going to talk, we're generalizing a little bit when we say married to a Russian woman. Andy is married to a true Russian woman, and I'm actually married to a Ukrainian woman, Eastern Ukrainian woman, who is now a Russian citizen. So I think we're talking, I originally was going to say we're going to talk about Slavic women, but it isn't really Slavic women either. Slavic and Caucasus. So, basically former Soviet women and women raised in the Soviet influence, I would say. Is that a fair thing to say, Andy?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair. Actually, my wife is also half Arabic. Her father's from Syria. So yeah, she's half and half. So yeah, I think we could use the Soviet background to make a safe bet.
Syria, Russia, same difference. Old Syria, not new Syria.
True.
So let me just ask you, Andy.
Okay.
So we're not aggravating everybody out there. Part of this stream was because Andy has gotten a lot of comments about ugly Russian women, stupid Russian women. They're all hoes, all from the same guy, but
Yeah.
some 40-year-old living in his mother's basement. So, what would you say is the same about Russian women as women all over the world?
I mean, I guess all women have similarity in the sense that they all require care, attention, and possibly a lot of patience. So they share some of the same things, but I guess when you look at culturally, maybe they vary in certain ways. But I think women have a general, I would say, default setting, if that makes sense. Maybe if somebody's from a different place, or if they're from Russia, or if they're from Canada, wherever, I guess generally there's a thing that women do, and there's a way that women act. But I would say it depends on the country, because I guess you would get people that have these little nuances that we find strange, or there might be some cultural aspects that might throw somebody off completely. So
Yeah.
I find it fascinating the more time I spend with my wife, because we've been together for at least almost 6 years, married for a year and a half. And
Yep.
I kind of see the differences, but there's that, I would say, similarity in the sense that, okay, she's still a woman. It's just some different cultural aspects, of course, that you learn about. But I think at the end of the day, same things are required, especially if you want to maintain a healthy relationship. So,
Yeah, I mean, I see that all women go from their emotions. Well, we tend to be logical creatures. I
pretty
don't
much,
think
yeah.
you can change that anywhere in the world. I have learned that, the first phrase I had to learn in Russian was "Da dorogaya, kak pожелаешь." So, yes, dear, as you desire.
Happy wife, happy life. So,
Happy wife, happy life. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So we also have our default setting. Just listen and agree, and everything will be okay. So,
Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, women are similar the worldwide, just like men are. So, what do you see as the big differences with Russian women?
mm, okay.
What
In
what
comparison,
turns you on to a Russian woman?
okay. I mean, I guess for me, I would have to compare it to the countries that I've lived in. And I've lived in China. I've lived in Botswana. And I would say the difference is, or what draws me in, is I feel like a lot of the women here have maintained the traditional sort of lifestyle when things are a bit more serious, and you still sort of court a woman, which used to be the fact back home. But I think my home country is becoming more and more Western. So people are sort of adapting and adopting certain things and elements. But I think
Yeah.
what really intrigues me about Russian women is their attention to detail and the way that they just stay in tip-top shape, and they're extremely well presented, well dressed, and it's sort of like a cultural aspect when
Yeah.
you're a woman, and if you don't look good, people are like, oh my god, what are you doing? Put on some makeup, look good. And that's interesting to me because I feel like from the other side of the world, people are sort of embracing this body positivity thing, and look the way you want to look and throw on some sweats and stuff. But then I guess when I talk to my wife and like we're going out, she's like, okay, you need to tell me a few hours in advance. I'm like, oh, a few hours in advance. And she's always screaming at me like, oh, you gotta get ready. I'm like, okay, I just need 20, 15 minutes, But she's
Yep.
really focused when it comes to looking good. And that's something that I feel like has been lost in the West and on the other side of the world, because people embrace this body positivity thing. But in the long run, it has made people less concerned with their appearance and femininity. So I feel like Russian women still maintain that femininity. But what is really interesting about them is there's a nuance there where they're extremely feminine, but there's a hint of toughness there. So there's a
Yes.
balance, I
Yeah.
would say.
My wife, until she lived in the United States, it amazed me that she would only wear high heels and she could wear them anywhere. She could walk across a parking lot that was a sheet of ice, go across, the little drain grates in high heels, not get stuck in them. But to catch her in anything but high heels was impossible. And after she lived in the United States for a while, she got into learning that tennis shoes were comfortable. And now she wears still nice shoes when she goes out, but she's in tennis shoes when she's teaching or, around the house, in the yard, meeting neighbors, things like that. So she's taken a little bit of that. It's nicer to be more comfortable. I
Yeah.
remember when her first flight from Kiev to the United States, she wore high heels and her feet were killing her by the time she got there, like 12 hours later.
Mm.
And now she's on a plane, she's in tennis shoes, but still 7 sets of clothes a day. Get up, have coffee in one set, uh, go outside in the garden in another. And Timothy, she will not wear Crocs. Don't even go there. She'll beat you with them. She thinks Crocs are the devil's invention.
Oh man.
So
Man. And it's funny because I also see, like, especially with my friends, when another Russian woman is basically not well presented, they're like, oh my god, look at her. What is she doing? She's out and about. Why isn't she dressed up? She's in sweats and a big t-shirt. What is wrong with her? So yeah, it's a thing.
Michael said, don't kiss me goodbye or hello across the door sill. Same thing goes for shaking hands.
Mm-hmm.
But, one that I get is it's natural for me if she's going out the door to teach to give her a kiss goodbye. But I get, don't kiss me in front of the children. And it's like, why? Is there an issue with children seeing how people interact with each other? Nope, it's not allowed.
Yeah, I see that one. I haven't had that one yet because you don't have kids yet. But yeah, kissing through the door, door sill, the threshold is taboo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've also gotten that one as well.
So despite their feminism, do you find them to be incredibly independent?
Yes, and it's interesting because I feel like there's like a trigger switch. It's like there is there's like the initial package when it's just like super independent, and then when you sort of cross that threshold and you show that you are serious and that you can actually provide, then it's like they well, my wife at least, she let go a bit. But initially, Russian women, I would say, are pretty independent. They can take care of themselves. But
Yeah.
what's nice is like if you are basically a person that is serious and dedicated, that wall just comes down. And yeah, of course, you are allowed to be the leader in the relationship. But yeah, extremely independent. They can do everything on their own. Well, I don't know about the kids nowadays, of course, because my wife is a millennial. I don't know how it works now. But I mean, everybody that we are friends with, they know how to cook, they know how to take care of themselves, they are well presented. They don't necessarily need anybody, but of course, a man is like uh, well, it is a necessity. Everybody probably wants to get married in my friend group, especially for the single people.
Yeah.
But very independent and very strong. But it's like this balance, I feel. It's like you have to get past that. It's like a little wall. And I feel like a lot of Western men struggle with that because like, damn, she's so cold, you know? But it's like you have to sort of like pass that wall and then you basically get access to somebody that is extremely feminine. And I would say, for me at least, I don't have a book about all the people in Russia, but with my wife at least, I've noticed that aspect.
Yeah. So you said something there that kind of struck me. You said that, you know, they want the man to lead and be the head of the house.
Hmm.
I've actually heard Western guys married to Russian women. Of course, the guy I'm thinking of that says this all the time also says the Bible says man is the head of the household, so she has to shut up and do what I say. Do you find that's the way it works with Russian women? He's divorced, by the way.
I mean, obviously he's a professional because his success rate speaks for itself.
Don't ask a poor man how to get rich.
I mean, it's pretty much like asking a hobo about the real estate. So it's one of those things. But I would say that one thing that I've noticed with my friends, my wife, there is this sense of being wanted. Well, sorry, the sense of welcoming leadership, like from the husband and boyfriends, etc. But there's also that line you can cross. So
Yeah.
it's like if you cross this line, you're probably gonna get an earful, because they're not feeble. I wouldn't classify Russian women as feeble women. They can be feminine, but I feel like especially the women that, were there during the Soviet period, the mothers, their parents, they taught them to be extremely tough, and a lot of them don't take shit from anyone, basically. So it's like a respectful leadership, which I respect too, because I feel like that whole idea of, shut up and do as I say, it's not productive, it's
Yeah.
counterproductive in a way. So
I think Timothy says it. I say this all the time too.
yeah.
I'm the head of the household, but she's the neck. I look where she tells me to look. Which I think is actually more biblical than shut up and do what I tell you. I think the Bible's pretty clear about, man will leave his mother and father and,
Yep.
He and his wife will become one. And yeah, I find that my wife looks for leadership from me, and she'll often come to me and say, what do you think we should do here, what do you think we should do there? And she lets me make the decision, but I know what decision she wants me to make before I make it. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's one of those things because I think as much as we are, I would say, more logical when it comes to tough situations, I feel like women are extremely intelligent when it comes to the things that are minuscule. They just have a knack of understanding how to maneuver with certain things. We're like the big problem solvers. Like it's like, okay, we need this big cinder block to be moved. But then I think when it comes to like the little things that we miss, I think women are extremely meticulous there. So they can assess these small things, we might just like step over them because we find them less important.
I find that
But
I feel often I'm allowed to make decisions.
mm,
I think and I've seen this with a lot of Soviet raised women, and I again, I'm generalizing and calling them Soviet raised because I find that in Russia today, children are still raised in that same conservative, love the family, uh, you know, type of relationship that the Soviets had.
yeah.
But I don't know. It's I know who runs things. I'm king of the castle, but since I have no castle, she lets me live with her.
I mean, that's precisely what we could say. Yeah, it's
Ni-
interesting, you know.
yeah, Ninjaru, what's mine is mine, but what's yours is ours. In my family, it's what's hers is hers and what's mine is hers. Now, here's the thing with Russian women. Um, when you marry a Russian woman, have you found that you marry the entire family?
Oh yes. Oh yes. And this is something that did not shock me because this is exactly like my culture back home. It's like when you are marrying somebody, and I think it's even more intense where I'm from because people have to, well, some places in Russia they do as well. They pay bride price, right?
Yeah,
And I feel like for us it's a lot more intense. Maybe not so much for a Muscovite. I don't know a lot of Muscovites that paid bride price, of
yeah.
course. But I feel like it's an intense thing in general, even if I was marrying somebody back home, because you would have to negotiate and then you're getting to the family and the family's involved. But here, my experience, yes, it's like the mother, the grandmother, um, father, whoever it may be, is extremely close to the relationship, which is, I would say, very similar to back home.
Yeah.
You know,
I know how much it annoys the living daylights out of my wife when her mother will come to our house. She will rearrange the furniture. She will
oh,
clean even if my wife is just clean and make sure that she knows she didn't do it well enough and she has to do a better job in the future. But
oh,
I I learned this back several years ago when my wife's cousin in Moscow called. We were living in the United States and she said, I don't remember which model of iPhone it was, but she says, we can't get them here in Moscow. Can you
mm,
buy me one and send it to me? And I said, yeah, I'll buy it for you and I'll send it over to you. What do you want? Just send me the money. She says, yeah, I'll reimburse you. So I bought it with my money. It was, you know, the time $1,000, sent it to her, and then it's like, hey honey, what what'd your cousin do with my money? Is she going to give it back? Oh, well, she sent it to my mother. I says, what do you mean she sent it to your mother? Well, she said, we're all family. You have to support your mother-in-law too. So, she figured it was okay to give it to my mother instead of
oh
sending it
my
back to you. And it's like, yeah, okay. That's how that works.
god. Oh man. Well, there's your family union. What's yours is mine, but what's mine is not yours.
Yeah.
That's the goal you tossed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I haven't experienced that yet, but I will say that yes, when it comes to mother-in-laws, I've seen that as well. Like my wife's mother is extremely, um, I would say she's meticulous. She sees the things that other people do not see. So she's very neat. She's very focused. And I guess same thing. Like my wife will clean and be like, "Oh my god, we got to clean the apartment," and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's already clean," you know. So it's one of those things. But I do admire the fact that there is a family unit because as much as my family is also pretty close, I guess during my time as a kid, we kind of came from a time when people were supposed to be tougher and we didn't really show as much affection. So it's interesting to see Russian families because they're extremely close, they're hugging, you know, and that's fascinating to me because where I'm from, I remember when I was a kid, I would hug my mom. I was like, okay, it's okay. You're a man.
Yeah.
You know, like much love to you, but you're a man. But it's interesting here because like the families are so close. And you know, I get a kiss on the cheek, I get a hug, and I was like, oh, whoa, this is interesting to me because it's like the unit is so well knitted. And as you said, it's like you are basically marrying a whole family. And I guess they really care in the sense that, I don't know, for me, I thought coming into a country that's not my own, it would be a bit
Yeah.
confusing. But it's like I've basically been adopted in some way, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's like you're. Mhm.
So your buddy that calls all Russian women hoes appears to be in our chat right now by the name
Really.
of Old Bagheera. And Old Bagheera is saying 50-50, either you're happy or she'll throw you out like useless trash, take everything from you, and the state will pay her $8,000 to $9,000 of maternity capital, which is bullshit. You know, and then he goes on and says, then she'll find another sucker and the state will pay her even more. Women, children in Russia are protected, you are not. So, Old Bagheera, you know, you obviously have no idea what the hell goes on in Russia. You know, I'm married to my wife. If she throws me out, I get half of everything. She gets half of everything. That's just the way it is. Our house is in her name, but if we get divorced, I own half of it. You know, the state will not pay her anything in maternity capital unless she's pregnant. Whether she's married to me or not, if she has a child, the Russian state pays maternity capital, but they pay it to a trust account.
Mm.
And in order to draw the money out, you have to take receipts for what you bought for the child, whether it's education, you know, improving the apartment for the child, and then they will reimburse you. That's the way it works. Nobody gets paid jack. So, you know, nice thoughts you have, but get some experience with it first and actually look into Russia and the Russian law. If you haven't noticed, Andy, I don't take bull crap like that. So,
I mean, honestly, I feel like you're even polite in the way that you addressed it by actually going in and explaining it. Because, yeah, I guess people just throw things out there that they think are right without actually doing the research and actually getting facts. But I feel
yeah,
like it feels like a very personal thing. Maybe, maybe this is something that might have happened to him personally. Because also the last line about, oh, and then you move on to the next one. What did he say in the last text? I didn't get all of it, but I feel like, let me see. Then she said, find out the sucker and they say we'll pay you even more. I mean, it also depends on your choice in women, buddy. I feel like a lot of people, regardless of where you are from, if you don't really have the skills in choosing the right partner, you're going to get screwed over anyway. So a lot of people think just because they marry a Russian woman or they just marry a Latina or they marry a specific woman from a specific place, it somehow means that they bypass all of the negative features. Yeah.
yeah,
People that you choose are also your fault. And I feel like my dad used to tell me the same thing. It's just like, you know, the person that you choose to marry is a reflection of you. They're a reflection of you.
yeah,
You choose them. But yeah, in terms of the law
yeah.
part,
So,
that's bullshit, basically. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
and the women and children in Russia are protected. I know a whole lot more women who are divorced trying to support their children who have to
Mm.
go out and work, barely getting by. They get no child support, even though the father's ordered to give it. The men just, more often than not, it's the man that leaves the woman for a younger woman and leaves her with the
Mhm.
children. So women get the short end of the stick in the deal here.
True. True. True.
Now, I let me ask you about this because my experience with a variety of Russian women. I dated Russian women before I met one. They tend to be exceptionally loyal, and they don't cheat on their husbands. They take care of them when they're ill. They'll go out of their way to take care of them as long as he's being strong and, providing for the family. Is that your experience?
Yeah, for me, I think fortunately, I was about to say sadly, I don't have so much experience, but my wife is watching. I'm like, this is perfect. I only have one Russian woman in my lifetime. I would say yes, extremely loyal. I think it's probably the only relationship that I've had when I came to the conclusion that I wanted to get married due to the loyalty that I see there. Because I feel like there is an understanding of what marriage is here and it's taken extremely seriously. And before this, I was not really looking to get married. I did not have that mindset like, oh, one day I will find the woman of my dreams. I was like, that's not going to happen because I was basically in China for 7 years and I was surrounded by Westerners and Chinese people. And basically the Westerners and people from my country, they were extremely, I would say, promiscuous. It was difficult. You were in a box that you were kind of locked in. So Russian women, they tend to have this loyalty, as you said, taking care of you. It is so weird to me that, well, not weird, but I think it's like a nice thing that it's kind of like a cultural shock as well, because I don't really see that in my country as much. It's like the little things that you see so much care. Like I'm going outside and I have a cold, and then I exit the apartment, and then I check my coat and I've got tissue, I've got something for my throat, I've got the nasal spray, and I'm like, I know I'm pretty exceptional, but I don't think I knew beforehand that I was gonna feel sick, And then I was just like, did you put all this medication in my coat? And she's like, yeah, because you're feeling sick. And she didn't tell me she did that at all. She wasn't even going to take the credit for it. And I was just like, he's like, yeah, of course, because I love you. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So yeah, also some of my friends, I see that similar experience, that loyalty, that extreme love, which is, I would say, eroding as you go more west. So yeah.
I can tell you, I would not be alive today if it wasn't for my wife. I had pituitary failure in 2009, and just awful headaches came on. And she took me to the hospital, and doctors, they did a spinal tap and said, oh, he's got meningitis. Here, give him this pain medication and it'll go away in 10 days. Well, 2 weeks later, still awful headaches. So she took me back. This started out at like just before Thanksgiving, November 2009. Finally, December 31st, New Year's Eve, she took me to the hospital and she said, you're going to test him. And they said, we've done CT scans and we've done, it's meningitis. We don't know why it's not going away. And she says, it's not meningitis. You will do an MRI. And they said, well, we can't justify it because we've done all these other tests. And that Russian, I don't want to call it stubbornness, but that, you will do this. And she said, we have insurance that pays 100%. You will do it. Gave that doctor no choice. And he comes back a little while later and he says, it's a good thing you insisted because he would have been dead in 24 hours.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I owe that loyalty and that persistence to her.
Man, that's insane. That's insane. Even the fact that she sort of even just, as you said, was extremely stubborn with it. And she just pushed for that. And I've had a similar experience as well, because for me, we met when I was still in university. And I remember basically through my university period, I was taking care of myself. I was taking care of myself since I don't know, 2018. So
Yep.
I'd pay my own school fees, and then the last minute for my last stretch, like the last 3 months, I was in a really tough spot because basically, the COVID was happening and all that nonsense, and the economy was not so good in my country, so my parents couldn't help out. So I spent all those years studying, and I was about to lose my certificate because the Chinese people don't play. You pay or you don't get your certificate. That's basically how it is. They don't play. There's no halfway, So I remember the last day, it was like 24 hours before that, she came in and she paid. I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh no, I'm just gonna pay it." I'm like, What are you doing?" Like I'll find a way. She's like, "No, you won't. You won't find a way. You're screwed." And yeah, this is it. And she helped
Yeah.
me out, and I feel like that really moved me because I feel like for the past few years before I met her, I was basically taking care of other people, and
Yeah.
then she took care of me. So when I got set up, I was like, "Damn, this is insane," because the loyalty there, even in the sense that I wasn't at my greatest point, I'm a lot better now. I take care of her.
Yeah.
But I was at my lowest point, and the reason that she helped me was because she loved me. And
Yep.
that's just like mind blowing to me, especially in a world that is so materialistic now. So hearing your story too, I'm like, yeah, my wife probably would have done that too, maybe with a few swear words to the doctor, but
Yeah.
she probably would have done that too. Yeah.
My wife is a teacher, so she has that look to her, where you're in trouble.
It's that look, So I agree with you totally. It's like this loyalty, this this understanding of what love is, because I feel like love is, at least from where I have been, love is extremely hard to understand because people don't look at it the same way. But here, I was extremely surprised in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah. Cornelius, I agree with you. You cannot imagine the things she does for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not the easiest guy to live with.
I mean, I have my moments too. I feel like she's extremely patient. you know, credit where
Yeah.
it's due. Credit where it's due. I'm also a bit stubborn sometimes. so,
Hey,
yes.
I'm Italian. I'm not only stubborn, I have the hot temper to go with it.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah. I don't know. So what else do you have to tell people? You're the love doctor. Tell us some more of this love that Russian women give that initially, yeah, like you said earlier,
Yeah.
people meet Russian women and they say, gee, they're cold.
hmm
But, once you break through all that, what is the love and relationship part?
Mm.
And I'm advertising for him because he's got a course out there that he has going live soon.
I mean, Kevin with the assist. so, yeah. Getting into it, I think yes, in terms of the love and care, as we said, the initial thing is the Russian cold face, this the poker face, as they call it, and then when you get
Yeah.
past it, I feel like there is some compassion there, man. Like it is different to anything that I've ever experienced before, and I would say, yeah, maybe I don't know, as I said, the other generations, etc. I'm just speaking about my wife's generation because I also have friends that have the same experience. The idea of loving somebody, especially your husband, is something that comes with multiple things that feel normal to them. For example, a warm meal when you come back. I wake up, my shoes are polished, and of course, I can do this myself. I can obviously do this myself, but the fact that she does it, it's like, oh man, you thought of me. She wakes up early. I'm like, oh man, I'm late. I gotta go somewhere. I didn't cook bread. You cooked? I was like, what? I was leaving at 7 o'clock. I woke up at 6. There you go. So I feel like the love is not so blatant in terms of like the Western idea of what like Romeo and Juliet love is. Like I will jump off a 2-story building for you and all that jazz. But it comes in the form of the little things. The little things that a lot of people miss. And I feel like that's what true love is. Understanding that it's not about the words, it's about the actions. It's more about what you do. And for me, I have seen so many little things that I never thought would have been done. And I feel like that is the essence of what Russian people are, because I don't know why a lot of people always talk about German brilliance and German, I would say, timing and being specific and reading between the lines, and the devil is in the details. Because when a Russian person cares about you, they are paying attention to every single thing that is in your life. And this is even friends. That message you like, hey man, like I saw this. Maybe you can try this. Oh, hey bro, maybe you can try this. When a Russian person is your friend or is your wife or your girlfriend, I feel like it's a lot different to other places, because they genuinely understand that the word friend, drug, wife, жена, it means something. It's not just a label, it's the embodiment. So for me, I think that love is in the form of the little things. And that makes me a softie. I feel like she has made me soft in many ways, because I was brought up tough. I'm not programmed that way. But with her, people are like, yo, man, you. An example is that I used to make really, I would say, grotesque rap music. I remember my dad even had to call me. He's like, what are you doing? What? Yeah. He's like, what are you doing? You're not Eminem. So and then when I started dating my wife, well, she was my girlfriend back then, I would come into the studio, my producer would be like, all right man, I got this hardcore beat for you, we're gonna go in. I'm like, nah, put on that R&B, bro, put on that that smooth talk. And I'm like, what? He's like, what are you talking about? So here I am singing love songs, and I've been singing love songs ever since we met. And people are like, I think you're getting soft, man. What happened? So she has turned me into a softie. I will admit that. What about your side? What about your end?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to give Eddie a plug right now, too, only because it kind of fits into what you were saying. You guys should go check out, after the stream, go check out Eddie's channel. He posted it, I think it was yesterday. He did an interview with Maria Butina. And it's an exceptional interview. Typical Russian woman to me. Eddie is conducting the interview, but she is directing where it goes and what they're talking about. So it's interesting as you watch it, because he's got his iPad there, and he's got his questions and stuff on it, and he's scrolling this way and scrolling this way. Oh, I was going to ask you about that. So it's kind of interesting to just see that she's kind of like Vladimir Putin. She's speaking off the top of her head, and she's very articulate, but she is driving where the interview is going, even though he is the guy that's in charge and leading it. And he's become friends with her, much like I am, and she's very warm with people like that. I have her phone number. I can call her. Eddie has it. He can call her and just to chat about things. So I see that in general as, how Russians are with their friends, their wives, their husbands. Our neighbors would do anything for us. Now, somebody else comes down the street, man, boom. So, but if I need something, neighbor will go fetch it. Often they'll say, hey, I'm going to the store. Do you need anything? So, they've got a fig tree and he goes fishing all the time and he'll bring fish to us. And in exchange, we'll say, oh, we got a pile of tomatoes in the garden. You want some? Or, we got a neighbor on the other side. We're building here right now. And, it's like, hey, you got a fireplace. Do you want like the scraps of the wood and stuff to burn in your fireplace? Oh, yeah, yeah. So, it's kind of that back and forth thing between friends in Russia.
I agree. It's true friendship. It's basically what we were taught from a younger age, but I guess people kind of they had the idea of what it is, but weren't doing it properly. So it's like this label of, yeah, I'm your friend. I would do anything for you, and I'm there for you no matter what. I would walk through walls for you. And then when it's time to collect, watch everybody scatter. So
yeah,
it's quite interesting here when it comes to friendship, relationships, etc.
So Michael, Maria Zakharova is a wonderful person again, but I tell you what, she could take your head off in one swipe. Maria Butina, on the other hand, will have you take your own head off. Just this is the difference between them. Two very wonderful, wonderful women, very friendly, good with their friends. Maria Zakharova on the country, loves her country. Maria Butina loves everybody. She even loves the United States, who did her wrong. This is what I see in Russian women. She actually talks a little bit about that too, about getting to know people and what they'll do for you when they get to know you. So people should go check that video out afterwards if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I watched it a bit. I need to finish it. It was actually quite interesting. Like as you said, she's very, I would say, sure, and she's affirmative. She knows what she wants to talk about. And it's interesting because I even saw during the interview when Eddie was talking about his website. I'm also going to plug Eddie. Eddie has this worry-free website that he has, and she was like,
Russia. Yep.
"Yes, worry-free Russia." And she was like, "Okay, I'm a foreigner. Tell me what I should expect from you." And I was like, "Oh wow, okay." She flipped this. She's the interviewer now, So
yeah,
she took control of that. I was like, "Okay, that's fascinating."
Yep.
Really good.
Tell me about what you do for a living. I mean, she did great advertising for him. So, yeah, it's just what I find with Russian women in general.
Yeah, truly.
So,
Trump. Okay.
Yeah, Trump. That's another story. We won't go geopolitical here. So,
yeah.
Would you say we've covered Russian women pretty well?
I think we have. I think probably also pissed off a lot of people that will continuously say Russian women are gold diggers and Russian people are this way. And it's interesting because I actually got, when I used to be the admin of the Moscow Pals group, because I left. I couldn't do it. I just got really frustrated. It's one of those things. I'm like, I can't do this because I'm also a bit razor sharp when it comes to debating. I will debate somebody, especially if they have something that is just factually incorrect. I had a guy who was speaking in the group about Russian women. He's like, "Nah, you should never marry a Russian woman." Similar thing to what this guy said right now. She will take you for what you own, everything that you own, and most of them just marry Westerners. Like, dude, your wife is just marrying you because she wants to go to the States. I'm like, I'm not even from the States, bro, and I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm pretty sure my wife does not want to move to Zimbabwe. I'll tell you that. You probably need a generator every single day because the power goes out. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she's not married to me for my passport. If that helps. But yeah, I guess the common thing, especially on a lot of my videos, is that people assume that Russian women are male order brides, or there's no way that they could be interested in you for you. But
It's not the
I guess,
1980s. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's the 1980s and stuff like that. But I mean, for anyone that has that same sentiment, I'll just tell you again, when I met my wife, I was a broke college kid that ate noodles for breakfast and noodles for lunch and noodles for dinner and possibly noodles as an afternoon snack. There was nothing exceptional about me, and just my words and my persistence, because she is a woman that, of course, is very difficult, which I respect because, yeah, I had to pursue her for 6 months, and I kind of respect her for that. And I remember even when I pursued her, there was just that respect there. It wasn't about what I have or what I had. It was more about, like, are you a decent person and is this worth it? So yeah, I feel like that's one more thing I'll touch on, especially with the whole fact that people are like, oh, Russian women are gold diggers. And I'm like, well, bro, gold diggers are gold diggers. It doesn't matter where you go. And if you get duped, it's kind of your fault, you know?
Yep.
You should kind of see this coming. So, yeah.
Get out of your mother's basement more often.
Yeah. I mean, touch some grass. I mean, you
Yeah.
can experience reality. And a lot of these people have never actually been to Russia, which strikes me. A lot of
Yeah.
people have never experienced. Like, I got another comment saying, dude, I think you overhype Russian women. They're not that beautiful. And I was like, whoa. That's an interesting one. I don't even want to touch that one. Either this guy needs to get his eyes examined or he's never been in Russia. And I always joke because I get the same guy in my stream. He's like, oh, I want to find a wife before I come to Russia. I'm like, I don't think you should do that. Come here and then find a wife, because especially if your intentions are to find the most beautiful Russian woman, you're pretty much going to be spoiled for choice, you know? So come here and, find who you need to find, because you're going to be like, oh, no.
I
The
I was
options.
doing
Mhm.
I was doing work for a particular government agency that I can't speak about here what I was doing for
Mhm.
them, but I had the opportunity to come across many Russian women
Yeah.
that were willing to um, be in love with Western men they've never met, let them send them money, and you know gee, they needed money for heart surgery for their mother, they needed money for brain surgery for their father multiple times. And how this worked was, it was usually a guy, businessman, and he would get women to give him copies of their passports, Russian and Ukrainian women, and he would go online and he would communicate with men and get them to send money. And for, they would ask for proof that she was who she really was, and he would give them a copy of the passport. Never spoke to them, though. Always letters, email, chat, things like that. And in return, he would pay them like 10% of what he took in.
Wow.
So if you think you're going to find a real Russian woman who's going to agree to marry you before you come to Russia and meet a woman and show her who you are, expect that you're going to get here and his name is going to be Ivan, or her name is going to be Ivan.
Yeah, you got to be careful about the pronouns nowadays.
Yeah.
She might be Ivan. So, man, that is.
So since we've covered women, I'm going to go here just to kind of set the tone again.
Mhm.
You are what, tomorrow starting Monday,
Mhm.
7 days of propaganda week. What's
Yes,
that
sir.
about?
Well, as a lot of people may know, I'm saying it like my channel is huge. It's not. I was like, a lot of people may know. No. Okay. For the people that are subscribed, I usually make content that is contradictory to Western media and how people perceive Russia. So recently I stumbled across some of the readings that Kevin, I didn't stumble across them, Kevin gave them to me. And I read through them and I was mind blown how propaganda actually works. So I thought to myself, I would love to go on a little tour on my YouTube and my Telegram and just focus thoroughly about how there are misconceptions about Russia, etc. From a view that I feel like a lot of people don't really dig into, because I feel like there's no, I would say, surgical breakdown of certain things, at least from Africans that are in Russia. Because I feel like I always say this, and it inspires me to basically make more intelligent, more useful content. I don't want to make gimmicky content. I wanted to make something that can give people a different view and perspective. So these 7 days are going to be me basically posting about things that are not true, from basic things to the more complicated things. Of course, I'm pretty new to this because for me, I only discovered that all of the things that the United States and the UK and everybody was teaching us in high school and primary school weren't true when I met my wife, because my textbooks were telling me, well, the Allied powers saved the world, and Russia, the terrible villain, was slayed, and everything was so great in the world. The end. And that's what we were fed every single day. And the only thing I knew about Russia is that in every single Hollywood movie, it's Vladimir, and he has the worst Russian accent known to man. And this is how Russian people are. So it's fascinating because I now am in connection with a lot of people that I knew before in my country. I don't know why. I guess because my channel was getting a bit bigger. And they see me post stuff and like, whoa, so that's Russia? And also you being an expert on this, it's interesting to actually give people a different view. I'm doing this for people that still think the way that I may have thought, and it is useful for them because especially people from my country, they're not so much of believing things because they hate Russia. They're believing things because that's the only information they get. It's just like the point that you made about how people call tissue paper Kleenex. And there you go. So it's the only thing you're fed. It's the only platter that you're given. So that's my goal with this, to sort of give people a different view. And it might be a little bit edgy. I feel like I feel like ruffling a few feathers because it's fun, and pissing a few people off on the way. So
I think you're going to get more than a week out of this, considering all the stuff I dumped on you.
I'm going to be scrolling through my phone tonight, seeing the angle to go about. So
will people find this like usual in your Telegram channel and on your YouTube channel?
yeah, I mean, they're going to find numerous interviews with people talking about how a lot of the things they were told about Russia weren't true. So I have a section on my channel called Cafe Interviews, which is basically interviewing foreigners all over Moscow from different countries, different backgrounds, and I ask them challenging questions about Russia, and they give me the truth from their perspective. And I think a lot of people in the group would expect this from me because I stuck it on the top of my Telegram group and I said, okay, look, this is content that is meant to show you the truth. It will piss a few people off. It most definitely will piss a lot of people off. So, yeah, I decided to cut these different things into specific weeks. But yeah, the propaganda thing might be a trip down the rabbit hole because the information that you sent me, I'm still scratching my head like, oh man, here I am finishing the Bernays book and then I know everything. And it turns out I know diddly squat. So yeah, getting into it.
That's what you got me for.
There we go.
So,
So,
God, I just have to throw another one in the fire. What can I say?
what happened?
Mary Grace, you know, it may be your impression. I'm assuming that when you're talking about free housing, food, insurance, college, all that, and their senior parents come with them, get apartments and stuff, I'm guessing you're in the United States. And it may be your experience, but having lived all over the United States, there are Russians and Ukrainians who go there on visas, overstay them, and they live on welfare. They get free housing, food, medical. Their children get college. I'll agree with that statement in general. However, Russians and Ukrainians are a smaller amount of people than other groups of people in the United States. Go up to the Midwest, you will find a lot of people from a particular country that starts with some and ends with Alia, and that are doing this. You go through California, New Mexico, Colorado, Texas, Louisiana, that whole western and southwestern region. It is Mexicans. You go over towards Florida, it is Haitians. There's different groups all over the United States that are doing the same thing. But let's also say that there's a lot of bum Americans who do not work for a living. They play the system and they get free housing, food, insurance when they could be working as well. So I'm not going to allow you to come in here and make a blanket statement like that against Russians and Ukrainians. I don't put up with propaganda, and I'm a specialist in propaganda. You can catch that over on my InfoWars Press channel. So you're looking at it from one perspective, and thanks for coming.
One of the comments says they were from G-Man is making me laugh.
G-Man wants to know if we have ham and cheese.
Wow. It's actually a joke that we have because I talk to G-Man often. It's like some of the most ridiculous things that you get out of the media. With the ham and cheese. I think the other week it was what? It was potatoes. I don't know. There's always a new article about what Russia doesn't have. But this is also it's an inside joke as well because we discuss some people on YouTube that make ham and cheese content as well. When there's no depth to it, it's just gimmicky and it's just like, okay, 6 people go to a mall. What's gonna happen? And it's like, okay, there we go. But yeah, we do have ham and cheese.
We've gone on for over our allotted hour, so I'm going to end with answering Raymond Schmidt's question. Raymond, the Cheetos that I crave are the fried ones. The only ones you can buy in Russia are baked, unless you order them from Ozone, and they actually come out of China. and 3 150-gram bags will set you back about $30. So kind of like Eddie and his mints. That's the Cheetos I want. Just fried Cheetos. This is all Cheeto fat. Actually, it's because of my missing pituitary, but hey. Well, with that, anything you want to finish up with, Andy?
Well, I would just say for the people back home that are here for the first time, if you have stumbled across Kevin's channel, and if you did see anything that he mentioned about Eddie, these are people that I watch every single day of my life. You are in the right place. There is no better place. Please proceed to hit the like, subscribe, and comment button, because you won't find any better content than what these men supply. So, as always, I was about to say my slogan. It's like a glitch in me when I say "as always," and then the slogan pops out. But yeah, it's always nice to speak to you, and I'm always fascinated, or I learn something new, which is useful. So appreciate it.
But we have to remember that Andy is the doctor of love.
Yeah. So you guys can also hop on the page and you can find a few things on there. I might need to restructure it because I'm trying to get rid of a certain, I would say, demographic because I notice on my live I get the weirdest people. So I'll need to sort of like narrow it down and find a specific niche within it. Because I guess for me, I'm more of like looking at the cultural nuances, etc. But I get the weirdest questions. So I got to find the right box. But yeah, if you guys are interested in Russian culture, tips, etc., you can join the AfroLev clan channel, and feel free to chime in. And of course, InfoWars as well. I learn everything every single day from that channel, because my channel is not really geopolitical, but I feel like I'm slowly leaning towards that, because every time I watch something from Kevin, I'm like, oh God, wait, so that's the reason why? So then it's like, oh, I should probably cover this. It's like, Andy, your content is becoming edgy. It's Kevin's fault. It's him. That's why. So, yeah.
Maybe we'll have to get together and do a stream about how the peace deal is falling apart. So, with that, everybody, thank you for coming. We appreciate you guys. Those of you over on YouTube as well, and those of you who came in on Andy's YouTube channel, because I don't know if he knew that we were streaming on his channel. But so everybody, thank you, and we'll be back maybe sometime during the week, but definitely next Saturday again. Andy, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It's good having you here, always. I enjoy talking to him all the time. I talk to him every day too.
Same. So this is just like a normal conversation between friends.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like a stream. So yeah.
All right, everybody. Y'all have a good one, and пока.
Пока.
С чего начинается Родина? С окошек горящих вдали, со старой отцовской буденовки, что где-то в шкафу мы нашли. А может, она начинается со стука вагонных колес, из клятвы, которую в юности ты ей в своем сердце принес. С чего начинается род?